under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you would please remain standing as we recognize those who have lost their lives in defense of our country, both abroad and here at home. And we also recognize those from our community. Mike Coas, Mama McLeod, and Father Joe Slominski. Thank you. Yes. We're normally at the back table. This is a workshop meeting, but because the AC was up here, we moved the meeting. So, just to let you know, it's a workshop meeting, so a little different from the standard meeting. We do have 2 reports that we'll be doing that we didn't do during the standard meeting. Normally we don't do reports. But I would like to start off the meeting with an apology to the community. I have talked to several people in the community as well as several of my fellow board members, and I got a little upset at the last board meeting due to the way it was running, and I want to apologize for that. I do want the meetings run as professional as possible, and for that reason I thank everyone for speaking to me, because I need that. No one's perfect, especially not this guy. So it's important that sometimes you may think that, you know, why is he doing that? And there's a very good reason for it. But if you don't know, it doesn't help. So it's important that we have a dialogue, that you continue to talk to. If you can't talk to me, talk to one of the board members. If you can't talk to one of the board members, see Gina or one of the clerks. We'll get the information. But without it, one, you'll never know anything's wrong. I knew I was heated, but I didn't know I needed to make an apology. And I agree with them that it's important that the community understands that these meetings need to be run professionally. And I believe that. It is my job to keep order and lead the conducting of business for the board. But when people don't follow the rules and interrupt the meeting, it is my responsibility to keep order. We have an agenda to follow, so I would please, for those that want to participate, you are more than welcome, but please follow the agenda. In the beginning of our meetings, we have time for public comment on agenda items only. When you bring up an item like consolidation, instead of police commission, which is on our agenda, then that is when I need to step in and let you know that it's not time for that. If you want to speak of items that are not on the agenda, they need to be done at the end of the meeting, not in the beginning. And that is why there was some interaction, and we need to just remember there's a time and place. Same thing with reports, with new business, old business, so that we can keep as quickly as possible running meeting and get as much business done. The other biggest point during this time that I would like to say is we are looking for as much input from the community. We really are. But it's not necessarily the best place to bring it here as far as questions. We are available every day of the week if you know how to get a hold of us on the weekends. If you don't, and you can't get a hold of us at the village, the clerks are there Monday through Friday. And you can leave a message for us and we will get back to you. It's best if you do want to know information and you want all of the information, get a hold of us during the week. That way, when you bring it up, and call us, hey, I'm going to bring it up at the meeting. Let's have a better dialogue so that we know and we make sure we have all the answers for you and all the information. Because to try and shoot questions out, try to catch us off guard, it doesn't help anybody. What helps is giving you any information you want about the community. Okay. We'll do the workshop portion, and then a few statements, and then we'll go to new business. Okay? Fantastic. As part of the workshop, the AC replacement in the Village Hall. I would like to actually start with Gary on this. it's my understanding that, have you already checked out prices for the small unit to be placed inside?
Yeah.
$400.
$400. Bob, you want to talk about what you've, now, what Gary's talking about is a unit that's placed in the room,
Temporary?
a temporary unit placed in the room that we can get tomorrow at like a Home Depot.
Okay.
And I think it's important to have no matter what, because if it breaks down again, or it breaks down to the police department, or it breaks down over here, we have a unit that can go.
Well,
Talk about what you're,
Yeah, we got a couple numbers. One was on the replacement of the system along with the air handler, the condenser and the air handler, significant. We have $5,000 in the reserve fund. The condenser that we're gonna have replaced is an older unit that takes the Freon that's being sort of phased out. The new one takes a different chemical, and we have the ability to get a condenser and replace it for significantly less. We ordered the condenser. I think he's got a track on one, and he should be able to get it shortly, and we get it cool here again. But again, it came out to $3,100 for the replacement of the condenser. And it's, we do have those funds in the reserve, so I asked that if we had the money, we want to pay for it. We don't have the one to replace the whole system, but we do have the numbers and, to do the replacement of the condenser, so that's on order.
my recommendation is to get the $400 unit to replace the condenser, as Bob has stated, and to immediately go out and look for a replacement for the entire system and see what money we can draw from the county and state, and look to make that a 1 to 2 year project as far as gathering that money to replace the entire system, bringing a new system that's not Freon.
Yeah,
And update the building.
That's gonna be a problem down the road.
Yeah.
That refrigerant is changing considerably, it runs on a higher pressure, and that chemical is sort of trying to be phased out, I guess. But at least we'll have cold air till it breaks.
Any comments? Concerns? Charlie? You sure? Okay. So we're gonna move forward on that. We're good to go. Gary, if you will get that unit, that'd be fantastic. Thank you so much. Department head reports, wastewater.
Wastewater. Month of May, average volume of the wastewater treated at the plant was 713,000 gallons a day, 3.5 inches of precipitation. Facility met all New York State DEC permit limitations. Pellwood Lake Pump Station and Havens Road checked regularly and operating properly. 7.69 tons of digested sludge processed through the belt filter press and disposal by Spectra Serve. Belt filter press in operation 7 days. Fred Cook, Inc., Jetvac truck 5 days in the village for a semi-annual cleaning, flushing of various sewer mains throughout the village. John Jones attended the department head meeting on the 4th. Spa floors installed new flooring in the conference room at the sewer plant. Chief operator's office and third floor hallway. This replacing was the original flooring in the building, so it was long overdue. Chief operator John Jones performed mandatory sampling and EPA quality assurance study 36. I'm not sure what that is, but it's
Better than 35.
yeah, yes. Primary digester heat exchanger water recirculating pump leaking, shut it down, installed a backup pump that they keep on the shelf for this occasion. Sent the other one out to be rewound or repaired. They just kind of rotated back in and out of stock. Maintenance for pumps, motors, and machinery as required, 3 days, paying facility.
Fire.
Fire. There were 7 alarms in May, and we have a report from the chief that says the Highland Falls Fire Department siren is now fully back in service.
And for that,
After several years out of order. This is a big deal. The siren also can be triggered by Orange 911, the police department, and from the firehouse itself. We have 1 junior firefighter, Zach Pendergraph, who is graduating from Firefighter 1 tomorrow night. That's a major event in a young firefighter's, any firefighter's education. This past weekend, the fire company participated in the Hudson Valley Volunteer Firemen's Association Parade in Lake George, and everyone thanks this board for allowing our vehicles to go. Another important item to be aware of is, you hear us talking about the cylinders and the breathing apparatus when you go into a fire. Very costly equipment. We are transferring to 45-minute self-contained canisters. Part of this movement is, from the 30 minutes that we've had in the past, is because 1/3 of the air you take on your back needs to be reserved in order to make an emergency exit from a fire. So rather than, going in firefighting for 15 minutes and then having to exit, this will give our fire company additional time actually suppressing the fire inside before having to make an exit. The chief has also been aggressively pursuing some grant monies to buy this very costly equipment, which we're very thankful that he's an expert writer of such grants, so keep your fingers crossed that we get that. The fire chief also wants to thank the community for their support for the carnival that was held in Fickens Field earlier this month. Now, for that particular event, I did not get any complaints about noise, but if I can be allowed a couple minutes to segue. In trying to walk from the corner here just to the post office, I was accosted by a couple neighbors from the Roe Park area. And this has happened for a variety of events. Some of the music causes walls to reverberate. And apparently for part of this weekend's festivities, the level or the volume was very high. And there was a reluctance on the part of individuals living in the neighborhood to make a complaint. They waited until today to complain to us, I guess. Just for the record, we do have a noise law on the books. If the volume is more than festive, let's put it that way, any individual, any neighbor of said noise can complain anonymously to the police department. The police will then go ask that the volume be ratcheted down a little bit. If there is then a second complaint indicating that it's still above a reasonable decibel level, then the police officer can, impose greater sanctions. So, in the interest of everyone being happy and being able to enjoy their barbecues without going inside because of reverberating noise, let's try to keep it to a moderate roar and have a good time and keep everyone happy. That's it.
Thank you, Charlene. That is the key. If we don't know, as we just said before, if we don't know what's going on, we can't help. Your name is not taken down if you call the police to make a complaint. If you do a formal complaint, which if you're really looking for something to happen with your problem, then yes, your name is taken down. It can also be, a complaint can be anonymous and it can be formal. But you must make the call. You can't come to us a week later, you can't come to us a month later and say, why are you allowing this to happen? Most of us are either working or somewhere else, or we would have taken care of it. Because that happens. If we're in the area and we see something, we make phone calls. I do it all the time. The police hate me. I'm making calls to them all the time of, do me a favor, check this out. Do me a favor, this is happening. When I'm in the village and something's going wrong. But if we're not there, we can't make those calls. So please, any issues that you have for the police, make that phone call. Whether if it's DPW, if it's water, if it's sewer, during the week, during the day, and you're looking for information, make it to the departments. Don't call Village Hall on everything. You'll get a much faster and more complete answer by calling the department heads. If it's after hours, obviously the police are one of the only groups available to do that. So they will try to get the information they can for you. Okay. We have a one or two statements. We had a lot of questions, a lot of things that were asked, and a lot of issues coming up with the board. So we did have a few things we wanted to put out to the community in regards to, this is, okay. That's for you.
Right, there was some questions about an officer during his probation time that he was let go. Let me describe what we mean by probation time. Having been an old elementary principal, there were times what we call tenure, and sometimes the fit was great, and sometimes it wasn't. There were other times when young people would come down after 2 years and say, you know, this isn't what I thought teaching was going to be. Within a probation period, it's a good time for the officers to get to know us. We're going to know the officers. The community is going to recognize and know the officers. And we work together. Just like any other organization, sometimes it just doesn't happen. The person doesn't fit in. There are issues that need to be resolved. And during the probation time, they're asked to leave. It is far better to ask someone to leave during the probation time than to go on 4 or 5 years. Basically what happened is there were some residents who came to the members of the board, not the mayor at this time, it was just the board members who came in during the day with the hours that we have. And it was with that information and the idea of fitting into the organization, the gentleman was let go.
But, as far as the LED lighting survey, are you done, Brian?
Yep.
Okay. I talked to Jack from Esco Energy, and he promises that the survey will be done by the end of next week, which is good news, because at that point we can sort of look at the competitive bidding process with that. And then the other matter that Brian was working on was the Teamsters. We're real close to the contract.
Yep.
And I think in executive session, we have a proposal from them, and we're real close with the numbers. I think we could wrap this up tonight, hopefully, if we get an agreement.
And the police will be July 13th, going back.
I think that's it.
Anthony?
There were a couple questions 2 weeks ago about the police commission, and our objective to forming a police commission is basically to better equip the village to deal with the police department. We, as a board, handle so many things. Someone with more experience in police work and police administration to oversee the administration of the police department. You know, since we've currently and in the past been over budget, and just a few things being tied up, I think the police commission would add to the community and add to our strength of our police department. I think it's a good thing. It's not really a negative thing. It's not trying to tear down the police. It's actually trying to assist them and build them up. So that was, I believe, mine and the board's opinion on getting the police commission.
It's important to understand that there's some confusion out there that there's an issue with the police. We are 100% behind our police department. We're trying to make it better. And that's what we're looking for this police commission to do, is to help us administratively, to help all the officers be better police. All right. There was also some questions that I want to answer about the 4th of July. The parade and fireworks will happen, no question. Parade and fireworks are happening. The bed races are happening. I would like to thank Greg Marr and the Fort Montgomery Fire Department. They have taken over the canoe races, and when I mean that, and that is our goal here. What we're looking to do is take a lot of these things off of the 4th of July Committee's hands and make it easier to be part of the 4th of July Committee and have individual groups actually take them on, like when the library did the high tea, or Fort Montgomery Battle did the reenactment, or the West Point Museum does special events for the 4th. So different groups can host different events. So now the Fort Montgomery Fire Department will be hosting the Fort Montgomery Fire Department canoe races at 4th of July. Just like
The Little League will be holding will be doing their All-Star game right before the canoe races, home run derby, sorry, right during or before, and then after the canoe races at dusk or a little after, we're gonna have a movie night at the Little League field, which is right behind where the boat races start, and it's gonna be a good event. Last year we had a decent turnout, but this year we got a pretty current movie selection. We haven't nailed it down yet, but it's something that you won't have to go and pay $15 to go see the movie. It's gonna be free. So.
And we did have one or two other people reaching out about, can we do this, can we do that? Of course you can. The goal is that the 4th of July committee is more of a coordinator of all the events, so that we don't have 3 events happening at the same time. So that everybody can do something. Whether it's, I just want to do the balloon toss. Done. You're in charge of that. Now your name and number, go to the 4th of July committee, and then, is everything set for the balloon toss? Great. Is everything set for the Little League movie night? Great. Is everything set for the canoe races? Great. So within 8 phone calls, you've covered 8 to 10 to 20 different things going on during that week. And the actual 4th of July committee doesn't have to organize it or raise money for these individual events. They don't financially support all the different things. Little League is doing everything for those 3 events. After this year, the 4th Montgomery Fire Department will be doing everything. If they want to blow it up and have all kinds of things going on at the canoe races, it's up to the Fort Montgomery Fire Department. We do have a group that has been interested in also taking over the bed races for next year. So we're really looking to concentrate on the 4th of July, the parade and fireworks. And hopefully, we're going to try and get a hold of somebody from the chamber. I'm not sure who that might be, but if we get a hold of someone from the chamber, we're going to see if they will help us with the parade, because that would be awesome. There were some other concerns brought up in the paper last week. I just want to put 1 or 2 quick things to bed. It was stated that I disbanded the 4th of July committee 4 years ago. I did not. I was told by active committee members 4 years ago that they were disbanding. They were not fundraising. They won't have any money. That's very alarming. This isn't about March for a July 4th celebration. So a group quickly got together, raised about $18,000 to $20,000, put together about $18,000 to $20,000, and we had the event. And there was money left over for the following year. But I want to make sure it's clear. One, first of all, I don't have the power to do that. It wasn't my committee. We started one 3 years ago after the dissolution of that committee. That committee also decided not to do fundraising. And I bring it up because it is important. Fundraising is key, and when you stop fundraising, everyone takes it off of their checkbook. That's the main thing that happened with our corporate sponsors. We have banks that were giving $2,000, $2,500 each. The following year, when we went out to get the money that's normally given, you didn't fundraise last year, so we took it off our budget. We're bringing that back. The committee today, I know, put paperwork into USAA. They're getting a nice donation from them. Other banks are coming back, other groups are coming back, but it's taking time. I bring this up because it's time to put it back on your schedule. $5, $10, $20, $100, whatever you've given in the past, if you can, we ask you to give again. These events are going to happen, but the strength of the events will depend on the donations coming in. There are a lot of other issues. If anyone wants to actually know what happened with the whole 4th of July issues, I'm not going to bring them up here, but if you'd like to sit down, we can go through them. But I want to thank the group that is putting together the 4th of July this year. There are a couple committee members, I put a letter in several weeks ago, and they felt that I slighted them by saying that not much work was done. What was really said was that there's a lot of work to be done. And I appreciate each and every one of the volunteers, not in just 4th of July, but all the groups that are working hard. And now is time to just bring up a few of them to discuss what they've been doing. I can't start to even talk about what this gentleman has done for the community in the short time he's lived here. He won't allow me to say it, and he probably will be upset now that he has to get up and say something. But to take over the Chamber of Commerce, to take over a major project like bringing back the marina for the Economic Development Council, as well as just being an active part of the community, for living here a very short time, I want to thank Jim Maudlin for being that person. And I thank Jim Maudlin. There was another comment made about that I need to do less delegation and do everything myself. I think that's the worst thing you can do. If you find the right people, if you get good people, like Jim Maudlin, like Barbara Minetti, like, there's hundreds of them, like John Dodson, whew, I'm losing it, like John Dodson. These are just a few of the people that have taken great steps in doing large projects for the village. So I just want to give you a taste of what they're doing. The one thing, because he won't say it, but all the people that have been coming to the community from the Warrior Games that have been going on West Point for the last week, I believe a large portion of them are coming to the village because of Jim's constant emails and pushing the community and the businesses to get involved with it. Bring water over here, volunteer here, do this. Jim has been a huge push on the Warrior Games, on the upcoming Answer to Cancer program that's coming up, and this is all being run through the Chamber, which is basically taking new energy since Tom took it over in January, working with Tom, or Jim took it over in January, working with Tom Osa. So if you could, Jim, just give us a little update on just a little something on the Chamber and where we are with the marina.
Okay.
Come on up here. And don't hate me, but they can't hear you if you're not facing the camera, and the community needs to know.
That may be best. Well, is this okay? All right, well, yeah, thank you, and I appreciate the comment, but this isn't me.
Exactly.
This is a group of folks in the community, since my wife and I have lived here for about 2 years now, that there's a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, and a whole lot of people wanting to do things. And the Chamber of Commerce is sort of a mechanism, as you know, to be able to try to make a lot of that happen. And so, you know, the DoD Warrior Games in particular, a lot of effort went behind that. It's a DoD sponsored thing. It's a West Point sponsored thing being hosted at West Point. A lot of the businesses, we have 12 to 15 businesses themselves who are involved, who have offered discounts, and just going around this past weekend, several of them are telling me this is the busiest weekend they've had in a long time. And you could see a lot of the wounded warriors around, you could see a lot of family members. It was just a great, great thing. We got a call literally as the athletes were showing up a week or so ago that they hadn't planned, the organizers had not planned for water for the athletes to support their practices. And so they had water and everything that they need for the games themselves, but not for the days leading up to that. And so a number of the businesses, a number of residents, a lot of you sitting in here and perhaps listening, they offered to donate, go out, buy cases of drinking water. Navy Federal, to their credit, offered to be the supply point for all this, in which the folks from West Point were able to pick it up. And so just an example of that, the Answer to Cancer, the Cancer Research Bikeathon that's happening this weekend, same type of thing. A lot of businesses stepping up, a lot of individuals stepping up to be volunteers to help out with it. Barbara and her husband are going to be participating in it. I think we have some other residents that are actually going to be participating in it. And so it's just a lot of tremendous, tremendous good energy. So, you know, it's a lot of fun. Again, I mean, you know, thank everyone for what they're doing, because that's just right. On the marina, good news on the marina. I've heard a lot of people talk about how the marina used to be when they were growing up and stuff like that. We have received a grant. It's a small amount of money to do a feasibility for that. We need to figure out, is it feasible to try to do something with the marina, to open it back up, to try to restore that? We'll find out. Big question mark. Is it going to work or not? We're going to get the answer hopefully within the 12 months of this. And there's also, though, a lot of good things, and Pat, I think you may have seen a note about this, about now that they see what we're trying to do with our whole waterfront, there's a lot of organizations within the Hudson Valley that are extremely interested in talking to us. They love the idea about the marina, they love the idea of what's going on at Mindock Park, they love the idea of what the town of Highlands and Village of Highland Falls is trying to do with the waterfront. So Scenic Hudson's all excited about us. Historic Hudson River Towns is excited about us. Hudson River Conservancy is excited about us. Hudson Highlands Land Trust is excited about us, and they all want to help us and support us to do the right thing, to open up spaces, have access to the river, to do the types of things that other river-facing communities are doing, and now it's our turn to be able to do that. And a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, so I'm just having a great amount of fun and having a great time working with everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Thanks for all of your support.
Key word, I think, Jim used was the mechanism. The chamber now is the mechanism for people to come to. All the great things happening, we still don't have the participation needed by the business community. So, business people, if you can't make the meetings, email in, let us know you want to be part of this movement that we're doing. There's a lot of things going on, not just events, a lot of things going on in the chamber for the business community, and we want you involved. And if there's something that you think should be going on in the chamber, you need to bring that to us, because if there's something not going on that you want to see happen, we want you there. We just want your input. Also, I just want to quickly mention, again, with the being able to count on more people in this community, Barbara Minetti put in a $10 million grant, and she is seeing that through at this time. Normally, it gets picked up by much larger communities, because there's obviously a larger need by a Newburgh or a Middletown. But we just got an email, she's working the David and Goliath angle, and she's doing everything she can to bring that money to the community. Again, her and her committee doing a fantastic job. John Dodson has taken over from the get-go, has taken over the ALO project, and another project we never thought it was going to be as great as it's happening. Things are coming together, people are talking, and that is another project where we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. A much bigger project that's being worked on the LDC side is the privatization of utilities at West Point. And that's John Dodson is working on that as well. He's brought 3 or 4 more new members to the table of that committee, and he's getting a lot of steam up. That could be a very, very beneficial thing to our community, and not to take up hours here, but if you want to know more about that, feel free to get a hold of us and we'll fill you in. They're doing a lot of great things. Before I forget, the farmer's market is on. Farmer's market is happening. It's happening on Lot 2 from 9 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon across from Sacred Heart, sponsored by Vision. So they are there. They've got the fresh fruits and vegetables. Stop by. They've got a lot of other things besides the fresh fruits and vegetables. So it's a very nice gathering they got going on. It's 9 to 2, Lot 2 across from Sacred Heart.
At one of the farmers markets, I heard that they're looking for a place to store the books during the week. If anyone has garage space or somewhere easily accessible where egg crates full of books could be put and hauled back out on Sunday morning, that would be really useful.
How many? I mean, is it a whole, milk crates?
Yeah, there,
A lot of them, or
well,
About 3 trucks full.
3 trucks full?
3 pickup trucks full.
Right. It's a lot. It's, the tables, you see the tables, it's all of those.
Let me check, I know a guy's got a lot of space that's not being used, I don't know if he can,
That would be
I'll
great,
check with him before I throw his name out there.
because the used books generates a fair amount of money for Vision, which goes
Okay.
right back into the beautification of the village.
Right.
Please.
Senior citizen Gary Boyce, thank you for the extra work you've been doing down there. The seniors have called me up.
Bob Nolan, thank you again for going in, taking a look at air conditioning.
Oh, that's right.
I called up and the grant is still in review. That means that the money has not been released yet. I asked them how long would it take? Would it be here by the time I became a senior citizen? And the answer was, well, it's still in review right now, so we still haven't gotten the answer we're looking for. As soon as that comes, we will go back down to the center, work with the committee, and fix it up.
Now, that's the DASNY grant from Senator Larkin. The other grant, the CBDG grant, is actually in process. We are told by our engineer that they are ready to move on that, and he's actually gone back to CBDG for the additional money needed to do the entire project. And I did stop by the senior center last week. Several members were there. It's important that the seniors get us information at a timely fashion. We got a list last week of 5 or 6 things. They need to know, we are trying to put together another active committee, mainly just to gather information on the needs of the senior citizens right now. But if they don't, any senior can call down to the village, it's a village building, any senior can call down to the village and say, this needs to be done, this looks like it needs to be done, and we'll look at it, and we'll see what we can do. So don't wait 2 weeks, don't wait a month, and you're not doing anything. This is, again, one of those issues, if we're doing 20 things, we don't know your need, whether it's a small need or a large need, unless you tell us. New business. We need to approve the minutes as written in the regular board meeting June 6th, 2016. Do I have a motion?
Motion, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Did you, before you go, did you guys want to say something? Because we're heading out. Wait, don't leave. I wanted to point out, we had a St. Patrick's Day parade in March, obviously at St. Patrick's Day, that Dan Malarkey put on. It wasn't massive, but what a great start. And he's already planning, he was at our last meeting, planning on the next one, being very excited. These ladies were instrumental in making a great event this past weekend, the Juneteenth. You can see the Juneteenth flag still at Memorial Park flying, and they had an event Saturday and Sunday this past weekend. And this is another one, we're not going to call it the event, we're going to call it the first annual event, because they're planning on having it year after year. And I want to thank them for all their efforts in bringing it to Highland Falls and for all the work we put into it, and we look forward to a much bigger and better celebration next year.
Thank you.
Here we go.
Thank you.
See you later.
Yeah, okay, Gary.
We have a couple of resolutions for property maintenance, and the other discussion I would like on our workshop is, I thought that 2 or 3 years ago, we put all this in. We did, right? Gina can't find it, so we need to do it again. And Bruce, John, huh?
Should we do the DAP?
No.
DEP service agreement?
That's-
It's not on here, but we can. Where? You're pointing to nothing.
There's one again.
She got me again. Got me again. She told me. All right, Gina was very specific. Do not go to the agenda that was put together yesterday. The new agenda, only look at the new agenda, so she got me, it's 2 in a row. It's a good one, Gina, I like it. Okay, we need to authorize me to sign the EAP renewal addendum, number 10, for the fiscal year 16-17 at a cost of $1,802. If you've reviewed it, do you have any questions on it?
Same one, basically, it was last year.
No words, no questions? Okay. So that'll actually be part of the new business as well. We'll start with that. This is the addendum number 10 for the EAP service agreement, whereas the Organization of Corporate Service has entered into an EAP service agreement, dated as of October 1st, 2006. whereas the organization and corporate services wish to extend the term of the agreement and make other amendments as set forth herein. Now therefore, in consideration of mutual covenants and agreements contained herein, and other good and valuable consideration, receipt and sufficiency of which are hereby acknowledged, the parties agree as follows. Schedule A of the agreement is hereby amended to add the following paragraph. The term of this agreement shall be for a period of 1 year, commencing June 1st, 2016, and shall be automatically renewed for a subsequent 1-year term unless amended or terminated. Schedule A, number 1, the agreement is hereby deleted and replaced by the following. Fees in consideration of the service provided to organization under the agreement, organization shall pay to corporate services annual fees of $1,802. Schedule A, number 3 of the agreement is hereby deleted in its entirety and replaced by the following. The parties agree that case management services shall be limited to a maximum of 190 hours annually. Schedule A, number 5 is hereby deleted in its entirety and replaced by the following. Organization represents and warrants to corporate services that are there approximately 57 covered members. All other terms of the agreement, except as specifically amended or modified herein, shall remain in force and effect. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Roll call, trustee Farina,
Aye.
trustee Mallon,
Aye.
trustee Howard,
Aye.
trustee Murphy,
Aye.
Mayor Flynn.
Aye. We have some resolutions of property maintenance. That's what I was talking about. We'll talk about that after, as soon as we pass this.
This states that there is a public hearing for these tonight, these property maintenance resolutions.
Yes,
There's supposed to be a public hearing, right?
yes. You open and close them.
Yeah.
This is how we've done them.
And we can vote on these tonight?
Yes,
Okay. At this time, I'd
but you
like
have
to,
to
thank you
open
very
them
much.
and close
At
them.
this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing for the property maintenance resolutions. Can we do all 4 in one shot, or do I have to open up one for each?
We really need to open one for each.
So, we are doing for the resolution property maintenance, 138 Mearns Avenue. Are there any comments for 138 Mearns Avenue?
Is anyone here?
At this time, I'd like to get a motion to close the,
Ask if anyone's here.
is anyone here from 138 Mearns Avenue? Okay, with that, I would ask for a motion to close the open hearing. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to close.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
At this time, I'd like to open a public hearing for resolution property maintenance 59 West Street. Is anyone here from 59 West Street? Are there any comments for 59 West Street? With that, I would like a motion to close public hearing on 59 West Street.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
At this time, I'd like to open up the meeting for resolution property maintenance 29 Clytes Avenue. Is there anyone here from Clytes Avenue? Is there any comments on Clytes Avenue? With that, I would like a motion to close the open meeting on 29 Clytes Avenue. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to open the public hearing for resolution property maintenance 117 Center Street. Is there anyone here from 117 Center Street? Any comment on 117 Center Street? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
All right, so 117 Center Street has been vacant for about, I'm Laura Milson, by the way, I live sort of right next to 117 and up the hill. It's been vacant for about, I'm gonna say 7 months, 8 months. There's broken windows in it, and we pulled the screen down so the glass wouldn't continue to rain down on the property where the kids play. But the people who were living there left. We spent 4.5 hours collecting the debris off of their stoop and moving it to the road so that it could be collected by the trash guys who are brilliant, and they cleaned all that out. But we saw a family of raccoons going in there at one point, and so we had called the officers, and there was a window open, and so we didn't know if there were any of the rescued cats that we feed, you know, that are trapped, neuter, spay, release. They're all fixed, but we still feed them. And so we were afraid that they might be inside this house, and I went in, and just so you know, in addition to what's going on the outside of the building, on the inside, the food that was in there all that time ago is still in the fridge with the fridge turned off, and so the inside of that house is probably 20 times worse than the outside used to be. So you might want to have a health inspector or someone go in there to actually see if it's even habitable at this point.
When was the last time it was
And the
occupied?
police did go in also at one point to verify there weren't any other things in there, living in there. And I thought there might be squatters, you know, I just didn't know. So it's locked up now, but everything that was in there is still in there. Just.
I'm glad you spoke, because I thought this is not the property in front of you.
No, it's the one next to us. It's a
Right to the
three,
left.
it's a three-story
I'm a little
rental.
annoyed that
Looking
that's
away
not
from
on
our
here.
house, it's to the
Okay.
left.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
right.
I was thinking this was the property in front, so we can actually get that moved. So we're working on that.
It's actually kind of better it's not mowed, because I think people now are afraid to park on what used to be grass. And somehow they're just parking in front of the no parking sign, you know, instead. But at least they're not driving on the hill and causing the mud to slide into the road when it
There's
rains.
no mud left.
There's nothing left there, yeah, I know, except weeds, but, but 117 is just a hazard. It's a hazard for anyone that goes in there, and I just want you to be aware of that. And that was, like I said, I think the last time I was in there was 7 months ago.
Are little kids
Um,
playing in there by any chance?
Around
It's-
this.
They're around
Around
it,
it?
oh, yeah, yeah,
A dangerous situation.
yeah.
That's the
Um,
outside, yeah. We need to get into that.
And then if there's other properties, how do you get the properties on these? Are these properties appearing on here because of complaints that have been made?
Yes.
Okay, all right. That's it.
It's my understanding that there are other ones that Bruce is working on, but we're actually gonna talk about,
I talked to him this morning, I didn't address any of these, we had some other issues to talk about. I'm trying to vision, I'll take a ride by here tomorrow. When was the last time somebody lived in that place? I mean, is it?
About 7 months, I would
Okay.
say,
Right.
yeah.
Luckily for us.
yeah,
Do you remember the 3 drug dealers that got arrested on Main Street living in the bordello? They had moved from this house that we're talking about. There were 3 of them living in the attic of this house.
Is it a brown house?
It's directly across the street,
Okay,
yes.
I know the house.
So it's a 3-story. They were
Yeah.
living in the attic with their girlfriends, so there were 6 people living in the attic, and then a family of other people living downstairs.
Okay.
So, that's just the history on that one.
Thank you.
And, yeah, that's it. Unless you want to talk about the 4th of July, since both of you brought it up, but that's not really.
if you, we're actually there in about a second,
Okay,
once we finish.
thank you.
Okay, any other comments for 117? No? At this time, I'd ask for a motion to close the hearing on 117.
Motion.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Resolution concerning the violation of property maintenance, 138 Merns. Whereas the longstanding violation of the village property maintenance law, chapter 170 of the Village of Highland Falls Code have existed at 138 Burns, designated on tax map number 105-1-8. And whereas the property owners have been given due notice of said violation and have been directed to correct the violation, and whereas the property owners were given due notice of a public hearing to be held by the Board of Trustees on June 20th, 2016 at 7 p.m. to determine whether violations have been properly remedied or whether to order their corrective action be undertaken by the village to correct such violations as the property owner's cost and expense, to bill said cost and expense to the property owner, and to levy same against the property. And whereas a public hearing was duly held by the Board of Trustees on June 20th, 2016, and whereas the owner did not appear, and whereas the owners have not taken steps to correct the violations still exist, whereas the Board of Trustees is authorized pursuant to section 170-6 of the property maintenance law to authorize this village and take to remedy such violations at the property owner's cost and expense. Now therefore be resolved that the village's, its contractors agent shall enter upon the property to correct the aforesaid violation, and that all costs incurred by the village, including administrative, legal, and corrective costs, be charged to the property owner, and such charge shall be added to the tax bill of the property owner, if not paid within 30 days of the notification. To the last known address of the property owner shall as shown on the village tax records. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Trustee Farina?
Aye.
Trustee Mallon?
Aye.
Trustee Howard?
Aye.
Trustee Murphy?
Aye.
Mayor Flynn?
Aye. Resolution concerning violation of property maintenance, 59 West Street. Whereas a longstanding violation of the village property maintenance law, chapter 170 of the Village Highland Falls Code have existed at 59 West Street, designated as tax map number 103-2-2. And whereas the property owners have given due notice to said violation, have been directed to correct the violation, and whereas the property owner was given due notice, the public hearing to be held by the Board of Trustees on June 20th, 2016, at 7 p.m. to determine whether the violations have been properly remedied and whether to order that corrective action be undertaken by the village to correct said violation of the property owner's cost and expense, to bill the cost and expense to the property owner, to levy same against the property. And whereas the public hearing was duly held by the Board of Trustees on June 20th, 2016, and whereas the owner did not appear, and whereas the owner have not taken the steps to correct the violations, and the violations still exist, and whereas the Board of Trustees is authorized pursuant to section 170-6 of the property maintenance law to authorize that the village undertake to remedy such violations at the property owner's expense. Now therefore be it resolved that the village, its contractors or agents shall enter upon the property to correct the aforesaid violation, and that all costs incurred by the village, including administrative, legal, and corrective costs, be charged to the property owner, and such charges shall be added to the tax bill of the property owner, if not paid within 30 days of notification, to the last known address of the property owner, as shown on the village tax records. Do I have a motion?
I make the motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Trustee Farina?
Aye.
Trustee Mallon?
Aye.
Trustee Howard?
Aye.
Trustee Murphy?
Aye.
Mayor Flynn?
Aye. Resolution concerning the violation of property maintenance, 29 Clytes Avenue, whereas the longstanding violation of village property maintenance law, chapter 170 of the Village of Highland Falls Code have existed at 29 Clytes Avenue, designated tax map 103-1-17, whereas the property owner have been given due notice to said violation, have been directed to correct the violation, whereas the property owner was given due notice to public hearing held in the Board of Trustees on June 20th, 2016 at 7 p.m. to determine whether the violations have been properly remedied and whether to order corrective action be undertaken by the village and correct said violations at the property owner's expense, to bill said cost and expense to the property owner, to levy same against the property. And whereas the public hearing was duly held by the Board of Trustees on June 20th, 2016, and whereas the owner did not appear, and whereas the owner has not taken steps to correct the violation, the violation still exists, whereas the Board of Trustees is authorized pursuant to section 107-6 of the property maintenance law to authorize that the village undertake to remedy such violations at the property owner's expense. Therefore be it resolved, the village, its contractors or agents shall enter upon the property to correct the aforesaid violation, and that all costs incurred by the village, including administrative, legal, corrective costs, shall be charged to the property owner, and such shall be added to the tax bill of the property owner, if not paid within 30 days of notification to the last known address of the property owner shown on the village tax records. Do I have a motion?
I make the motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Trustee Farina?
Aye.
Trustee Mallon?
Aye.
Trustee Howard?
Aye.
Trustee Murphy?
Aye.
Mayor Flynn?
Aye. Resolution turning violation of the property maintenance 117 Center Street. Whereas a longstanding violation of the village property maintenance law, chapter 170 of the Village of Highland Falls Code have existed in 117 Center Street, designated tax map 103-20-3, and whereas the property owner has been given due notice of said violation and have been directed to correct the violation, and whereas the property owner was given due notice, public hearing to be held by the Board of Trustees on June 20, 2016 at 7 p.m. to determine whether the violation has been properly remedied and whether order that corrective action shall be undertaken by the village to correct said violation of the property owner's cost and expense, to bill said cost and expense to the property owner and levy same against the property. And whereas the public hearing was duly held by the Board of Trustees on June 20, 2016, and whereas the owner did not appear, and whereas the owner has not taken the steps to correct the violation still exists, and whereas the Board of Trustees is authorized pursuant to section 170-6 property maintenance law to authorize the village undertake the remedy of such violation at the property owner's expense, and therefore be it resolved that the Village of Highland Falls, its contractors or agents shall enter upon the property to correct the aforesaid violation, and that all costs incurred by the village, including administrative, legal, and corrective, be charged to the property owner, and such charge shall be added to the tax bill of the property owner if not paid within 30 days of the notification to the last known address of the property owner as shown on the village tax records. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Trustee Farina?
Aye.
Trustee Mallon?
Aye.
Trustee Howard?
Aye.
Trustee Murphy?
Aye.
Mayor Flynn?
Aye. Do the bills and claims, and then I want to go back to the property maintenance. I need a motion to accept the bills and claims for fiscal year 15-16 in the amount of $46,212.40. I have a second?
Second.
That's Brian and trustee Murphy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to accept the bills and claims for fiscal year 16-17, amount of $199,168.95. Yeah. CLG? CLG Financial, that's our insurance. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion with the bills.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Also, there was some concern at one of the other meetings, just to be clear, about the back and forth between the board and the community, and the fact that we don't seem to talk that much about issues. The majority of issues that were being pointed out, just so we're clear, any issues concerning contracts or personnel have to be done in executive session. So some of the items that people were wondering why they didn't hear us talking about it so much, and yet we're making this huge decision. One or two of the issues were talked about for over 2 years in executive session. That's where it's discussed. We can't discuss it legally in the public. And I bring this up because even the bills and claims, we get the bills and claims, and it is not so much for here. Again, we have a lot of business. We've been here for an hour, and we still have business to do, and then we have an executive session. If people have, these are available. Bills and claims are available whenever you want them, if you have questions on them. We've looked at them, we've discussed them with the treasurer, we've discussed them with the clerk. If we have any questions, if there looks like any, something's wrong, this is all done. But it's not done here because the business that we have to do here is timely. So if there are questions on any of these, you're more than welcome to bring it up. And whether we can answer them here or give you an answer over the phone or whatever during the week, an email, that's what it's there for. Now, going back to the property maintenance. I was under the impression 2 years ago, at least 2 years ago, we started to fix this. In that these were not supposed to come to us anymore. It was my impression, and this is something that we need to work with our esteemed colleague. Our goal as a board was to have the building inspector take care of this on a much more timely effort. Meaning, he goes around, whether he gets a complaint or he goes around and sees a property that's been sitting there and the grass is this high, and there's 2 weeks to a board meeting, that he doesn't have to wait 2 weeks to a board meeting, that this board gives him the authorization to, one, inform them that in a week, or whatever is timely, if you don't correct the thing in a week, that the building inspector has the authority to then go to the next step. Go to and make the proper adjustments. Call the contractor, get the lawn mowed, and charge the person. I thought we did that like 2 years ago.
I think from the process, an order remedy would come into play. We would write them an order remedy to resolve the issue, which was overgrown grass. They declined to do so. I guess this comes to us. And I thought we talked about that in a more timely fashion. Maybe that's the process we worked out with John, maybe Bruce.
Maybe it didn't go there, but even Gina was like, she can't find it. My question is, does it have to come to us?
I'll ask him tomorrow, because I gotta get in touch with John, or Bruce anyway.
And the good news for the building department is that in a matter of days, they will have a second
Right.
person coming on board. So they'll be able to address some of these tasks more timely.
I will look into your code, but I believe right now what it says is that before you can do the work and actually bill, the property owner has to have an opportunity to get the notice, remedy. If it isn't remedied, then it goes to you. Because what happens is, that goes on the tax bill.
Right.
That's the issue. So I can look into somehow perhaps speeding that process up, but there does have to be due process before something gets done.
I have no problem with due process. That's my question though.
I think it has to come.
Yeah.
Could you check,
Under your
because,
code right now, I believe.
that's what I'm saying, under our code right now, we can change that. My
You-
question is that, I feel that due process, that our building inspector can take care of due process. That's what I'm asking. I feel that he's more than capable of giving a notice, waiting the 7 to 10 days, whatever it is. He doesn't, contacts them again, we're coming in. Rather than notice, wait, go to board, wait, take care of it.
The issue would be that he would be appropriating the funds, so to speak, to actually do the work.
When you say
And
appropriate funds.
the board is the one who actually spends the money.
Right,
I think if the building department gets out there and sends the paperwork to the property owner who's in violation quickly and on a regular basis, that will speed it up. But I agree, I think we still have to vote
Why?
on it.
Well, I think in the
Because
hearing
it's-
too, the guy may have extenuating circumstances like, I got this, I got that, I broke my leg, and he come in and plead his case, and then we'd say, well, like we've done before, is give him have a time to resolve the issue if he plans on doing so.
And then
And I
also,
understand that. My question is, 10 people, and mainly what I'm talking about is the bank properties. The bank properties, which we never hear from, they don't do anything, and the only time we ever get dealt with it is when we go in and fix it, put it on the tax roll, then it gets paid. What I'm saying, I understand what you're saying, but cannot we do this so that the same due process is given? It's just that he doesn't have to wait for a board meeting. If we say due process is 7 days, if somebody comes into Bruce and goes, my arm is in a cast, I can't mow my lawn, can you give me 3 more days? Does it really have to come to the board to say that? Can't Bruce, as our representative of the building code, say, your arm is broken, here, you take another week? I just don't see why it's
well, and
necessary to come here.
they would do that. When they get a notice of violation and an order to remedy, if a person is getting it and says to Bruce, my arm is broken, Bruce has the authority to say, okay. But when it gets, what, I think the issue you guys have, as many communities do, are these zombie properties that are just empty. So there is some legislation that just got passed.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna be updating you on that. But the problem becomes, how do you locally take care of that? And in my opinion, you can do a local law that says, if this is a zombie property, and it's never being taken care of, we don't wanna have to go through the process of every time the grass has to be cut, we have to go through this process. Certainly, there's a workaround there that I think we can legally do.
And I'm in no way shortcutting them. I'm just trying to do it in a timely fashion. We are getting it a little faster now. When we first got in, it was noticed in May, and it was being taken care of in August and September. You know,
Where it says action required, he has different times constraints.
5 or 10
Yeah.
days.
right, but to me, again, I understand the due process, the whole 9, but it's just like any of our other department heads. We hired Bruce for a reason. I believe that he can handle it. And my biggest thing is I want to be able to give Bruce the teeth to handle it, where some of these people are like, I know the way it works, I don't have to worry about it till August, then I'll take care of it. We need to, I believe, once Bruce acts on, there's 5 pieces here, there are 20 properties minimum in this village that need to be brought here. And Bruce is working on it, because he's got to make a resolution to us on each one, rather than just do his paperwork, get it done. I believe that once we start getting more aggressive with this, just like anything else, we'll have less and less problems. We're not gonna have the people not cutting they'll cut the lawn. Or once the day they get the notice, oh, I got the notice, cut the lawn. Once we put in the paper, we just did 10 of these properties, they each had to pay $300 to get this much lawn cut because that's what was charged. Mow your lawn, you know, and it's not just a lawn. It's refuge in the yard, there's a lot of different things. The people that are paying taxes, the people that are keeping their lawns nice, the people that are working to keep I've got people trying to work on their neighbors' lawns that are zombie properties. And some people have the gall to say, well, why don't you just mow it? It's not their property. But they're doing it because they don't want rats in their house, because the grass is this high. We have to respond to this better. And so, you already said you do it, and I'm just being
Yes.
long-winded. So thank you.
Yeah, up in North, I was at a meeting up north. I didn't get paid for it though, Gina, so I'm gonna stay here. They're saying the first time, this is the fine, the second time, this is the fine, third time is $500. Now, after the third time, it stays $500. Now, if that seems harsh, I don't care. There are kids playing in that vacant house. If there are animals in there, like raccoons and stuff, and kids are getting rabies, or somebody gets hurt, or people are trying to sell their property because someone doesn't want to do the job, I do not have a problem saying, this is your third time, $500, and after every single time, you're gonna get hit again.
It just has to be in the law.
Right, I'm understanding that. Up north, what they're
At
doing
least
too.
like,
Up north, sometimes we'll say to the tenants, listen, do the lawn and this much comes off of your rent. They supply the lawnmower, they supply what they need. Same with the snow. I think it's time to take a very firm look at what we're doing, and people have the right to have a better quality of life than from people who don't live in our community who say, well, it's no big deal. It is a big deal. Let's get the resolution going and let's get them hard and often. If they don't want to do it, then that's what needs to be done. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
someone get him some ice or something. He is. Public comment.
Can we do 4th of July?
Yeah, hold on, Jimmy had his hand up first.
That's nonsense.
Breathe.
Good evening, board members. Just one quick question. I heard during the meeting that the Yale property, the village, is working with the village engineer.
No, John is the head of the committee on the project.
Okay. Do you know what this board wants to do with that? You just said it's a village project,
EDC.
so it's an EDC project.
Yes.
So this board has nothing to do with it.
The board will have something to do with its village land at some point.
Oh, so the
But right
village is
now,
looking
the-
to buy it.
It's an EDC project. If you'd like information, check with John Dotson. I would be wrong to give you the wrong information here at the board level. Here's what we are looking to do. What we are looking to do, just to give you an idea, we want to keep this land on the tax rolls. That's what this village board wants to do. That's as far as we've gone. At that behest, the EDC is working with the ALO family to see what can be done about keeping this property on the tax rolls.
The EDC or the LDC?
LDC.
So not John Dodson?
Yes,
No,
John
LDC.
Johnson, and yes, the EDC.
Okay. Well, there are two.
There are.
There's an
No, there's
LDC
one
and
EDC and one LDC. The LDC is for the privatization of the utilities on West Point. The EDC has 3 projects.
Okay.
The marina, the revitalization of Main Street that Barbara Minetti's heading, and the ALO property. At some point, if that needs to be shifted over, no, fine, that's fine. If that needs to be shifted in some way, we're trying to find the right mechanisms to take, and the reason why these 2 groups have been started is to actually move forward on much larger projects that are that all these projects have been looked at in the past. I'm told 8 to 10 years ago, there was a check made out to buy the marina for the village.
I can attest to it because I presented it, $600,000.
Right.
And
Never
it was
happened.
Never cashed because
Things happen.
the seller wouldn't sell.
Now, that was that then. Between that, very little has happened. So, and it's because of the day-to-day and us trying to do as much as we can at the board level, that these major projects, I felt, I can't speak for the board, I felt that we needed dedicated people to keep an eye on each one project and move it forward constantly. And that's happening. That's happening with the revitalization, it's happening with the marina, and it's happening with the Yale property.
Yale property, are they in front of the planning board?
That's what I wanted to get to, Mr. Nolan. So back to the ALO property, it's before the planning board, and that's why, if there's something going on, we would like to know, because, you know, we're at that point to actually, you know, vote on this. But we're kept in the dark.
You're not kept in the dark, there's been no formal movement.
All right, so with the EDC though, it will not cost the taxpayers any money.
No.
Excellent.
Yeah, and
That's all my-
I guess you just
that's all
gotta
my-
proceed with, Yale property as planned. I mean, they come in and they wanna develop it, or what do they do, subdividing or developing?
It's just subdivision right now, that's all they're doing. They're cutting off, and it's been going through the courts for a while, family issues. So, you know, one part of the family's getting the front piece, and the other part of the family's getting the back piece. That's all they're doing, they're just subdividing.
Are you still reviewing this, Jim?
We're pretty close, if you come to our meeting this week, there was a few comments from
Just-
engineer, this
Okay.
Thursday, yeah, that were brought up. And then, I don't know if legal counsel had any other issues or concerns, but we're definitely moving forward on the project.
Mike, well, this project nearly killed me a year ago. If it's subdivided, is part of the subdivision to grant access to the back section?
No.
Access to the back section, we can't landlock a piece of land. So there will be
There
two
is
pieces of access, actually two areas. One comes off of Regina Road, and the other one comes off of Havens Road. So when you go past the sewer plant and the DPW garage, if you go straight on that road, that's their property right there, and they could gain access. Now, it's gonna take a little bit of money for sure, but they do have access off of, not only there, but off of Regina Road.
Irrespective of what happens to the front
Yeah,
section.
yeah, we can't do a subdivision without having access to a piece of land. So yes, they have access.
Right. And as far as any other easements, that's between the property owners. It's really not up to the planning board to grant easements or okay easements or anything like that. You have no authority for that.
Good enough?
Thank you.
And we do have a lot of things on our plate, and I heard at the town meeting that this board wants to move forward with combining the planning boards. From Mr. Edson.
I asked Mr. Edsel where we're at, to discuss it with that board, so we have an update on where we're at.
All right, well, if you go back and look at his meeting, he said this board's ready to move forward. Was he correct in
I didn't
saying
get a chance to see the
that? All
meeting.
right, anyway, that's what he said, and I gave them a list of everything we got on our plate. And it's pretty substantial, just so you guys know, so I would hope that you would come and speak with us, how you want to deal with all these projects, you know, if and when you combine the boards. All right,
Good to go?
thank you.
Yes, sir.
You do.
All right, I'm just gonna,
I'll see you Thursday.
I'm sorry to bring this up, but back in March, a couple of us went to the, I believe it's called the Police Community Outreach Meeting. I'm not exactly sure of the title, but it's where our Chief Scott meets with community residents
It's at the
to.
center.
Yes, it's at the
Second
center.
Tuesday of every month.
Yes, and so we went to that meeting to specifically bring up the 4th of July and the noise issues and the launching of illegal rockets and screaming flares. And we asked what the plan was for this coming July, because last year there was 3 days of, literally it sounded like World War III. The police department got hundreds and hundreds of complaints, and there were no tickets issued and no arrests made. Their issue was that if they didn't see it, they couldn't address it. And apparently, while there were all these rockets were going off, no one could ever actually catch someone in action. So our question at this March meeting was, what are you going to do to let the community know that rockets that shoot into the air are illegal? You can't have those in New York still. The reason being, they can land on people's roofs and cause their houses to catch on fire. They can put somebody's eye out. They're dangerous. It's for the community's celebration to have the big fireworks. It's not for individuals to set off fireworks in the middle of housing developments. And we haven't gotten an answer on that, and it's really concerning to us. Not just me, a number of people that live on Cousins and Church and Muller and Center and Liberty and where it typically happens. And, you know, we don't want 3 days of rockets being fired around our home. We have a brand new roof we spent a hell of a lot of money on, and if it catches on fire, it's gonna be a village liability, because as far as we're concerned, the police have not done anything that we can see to let people in the community know what's legal and what's not legal.
At the last meeting,
Thank you.
at the
Very well,
last,
thank you.
At the last meeting, that's when
Mrs. Olivia.
Mary Ellen.
Mary Olivia posed that question to the chief. He has made some phone calls. He's finding out last year it was nebulous about can you have this, can you have that, and he's going to be putting it into the paper. He told the people, so people have an idea of what they can do and what they can't do.
But not everybody reads the paper, that's the problem.
You know-
We need people going around saying, this is not legal. You know, you can't shoot fireworks off, the people that don't read the paper.
And I think a majority of people know what's legal, what's not legal, because if you're going to South Carolina or Pennsylvania to buy it, that's not legal. The ones that are available are right here in Hudson Valley. If you buy it at Walmart up in Newburgh or at a tent on 9W, then it's legal, because those are being monitored. So I think people know what's what. The fact of the matter is what we need to figure out is how to empower the community to assist the police if they can't be every 5 feet, and I don't know if that's even a possibility. And that comes with complaints.
There was a change in the fireworks law too, wasn't there?
Yeah, that was
Last year.
last year,
I think that's
yeah.
where maybe
Olivia did
Right.
bring that up, and that was the answer she got.
But what I'm saying is, there's been a year to address
Right.
this, and it hasn't been addressed yet, and now it's 2 weeks away. So it's kind of, it needs to be handled now,
I
not
agree.
on the 4th of July again, when we've all been kept up for 3 days.
Okay.
So it's Monday,
Thank-
so we need to talk to him tomorrow and see where he is with the posting. Thank you very much. Any other public comment? Mary Jane?
Well, you might want to remind people hydrant flushing starts tonight,
Hydrant flushing does start tonight. 9?
9 to 4 a.m.
9 to
For
4
days.
a.m. So if you're up at night and you're using that water, it may be a little dark, still not, that's not out of control. And it should, they do this actually at night instead of during the day, so that you don't have a full day of brown water.
They're starting
Okay.
on the north end tonight.
Right, they start on the north end tonight, thank you very much.
And you might want to still remind people to go get those West Point ID cards.
Sounds good. For those who haven't, to make it a little easier for you to make your way into West Point, for whatever reason, there's new West Point ID cards that are available at the Visitor Center. It's a quick application, they do a quick background check, and then you have a resident card. We would encourage everyone to get those because they are starting the additional security check now. They'll be sending you, if you don't have one, they'll be sending you back to South Post to get one. So you can do it on your own time, and that way you won't have to be sent back if you're actually trying to get to an event, and you might miss it. Mary Jane?
O'Neill High School graduates on Thursday.
Thursday.
Thank you, yes. We'd like to congratulate all the graduates that are graduating on Thursday. And
Middle school.
middle school's Wednesday. Congratulate all the graduates from the 8th grade that are graduating on Wednesday.
Oh, incoming cadet Sunday.
Yes.
Incoming cadets are coming in on Sunday. So we have a big week for our education and our academics. A big congratulations to all our seniors at O'Neill. And that's at Ike. Unfortunately, that's not really open to the public, but it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no
There's-
ticket needed.
And what
Have an
time?
ID card. 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock on Thursday at Ike. For any community members that would like to support the seniors graduating.
And there's somebody in this room who's in the reunion class of 50th anniversary graduation of Highland Falls High School.
Oh, that's happening. Now, I got a email about someone that's coming to town for the 50th. Is that this weekend?
They go to graduation. They're
They go to
recognized at
graduation.
graduation.
Who would that be, Mary
Let's
Jane?
look around at the older people.
I don't know. Let
I
me
think it might be
see.
Gary Boyce.
I don't even know if we get a shot of him, but Gary Boyce is in the room. Is it your 50th, Gary?
Yes, it is.
It is, 50 years from Highland Falls High School.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Oh, this coming Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Going Thursday, Friday, we have a picnic at Round Pond for the people that can come in, and Saturday, we're having breakfast at the park restaurant to say goodbye to the classmates that are traveling.
Awesome.
Nice.
Isn't there a big thing Tuesday on West Point, Gary Sinise, is he coming?
Tomorrow night, yeah.
That's Tuesday,
The
yeah.
Lieutenant Dan
Right.
Band.
Okay.
Closing ceremonies for the Warrior Games.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
We'll go on that, hopefully. And maybe I'm gonna drop in the garage reunion, I don't know. We'll talk.
I
Congratulations on 50
Trophy
years,
point, I think.
Thank you, Gary,
Trophy.
and the class. I hope you guys have a great time this week.
Thank you.
Speaking of dates and important dates, what else is today? Man, I don't know. Brian, what do you think today is?
Not today, but tomorrow's your birthday.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
Tomorrow, Charlie turns 38. It's a win.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Charlie.
No, I'm 39.
39, I was off, my bad. Oh, tomorrow, you're 38 today. Any other board comment? Charlie? Any other public comment, first of all? That's what I was in the middle of that. No? Charlie?
Just a point of interest, last Thursday, two planners from Pattern for Progress did a site visit here, met with Gary Boyce and other department heads and representatives from Vision. Gathering information, we're one of only 25 municipalities in the Hudson River Valley out of 9 counties. So we're part of this regional plan, and hopefully by this fall, they will formulate some materials that will be useful for us if only for going for grants.
Awesome. Fantastic. And I want to thank you for attending that, and I really think that because you're part of the board, we have that extra arm that reaches out to the county and the state, and I appreciate that.
See if we can get some money.
Money's always good. Yeah, right?
Yeah, getting back to what Pat talked about earlier, it would be much better if we could sit down in a civilized way and have a conversation with the premise that we can learn from each other. Some of the topics such as there's a lot of bad blood between the trustees and the police, or it's a hostile working environment. You can't even sit down with each other without a lawyer there. Those myths do nothing more than hurt us as a small village. If we're going to work together, let's work together in a civil manner, discuss topics in a manner that we're going to learn from each other and have some form of resolution. But those little hot button statements do no one any good, especially residents of our village.
And they are myths, and that's the problem. The rumors and myths are killers, and we may not address them on a daily basis, but that's because we're trying to get grants. That's where we're trying to have meetings to move the village forward. So we're asking everyone to be part of the solution rather than the problem.
I just hope this, the 4th of July is one of my favorite weeks of Highland Falls. I didn't grow up here, but I migrated here, and it's one of my favorite times. I see family I've never seen before, and I do light up fireworks, but illegal ones, little fountains.
She'll be watching.
But it's really a time to just relax and be with friends and family and not have to think about the worries you have outside of the holiday celebration. I mean, everyone, it's a time to relax. So just remember that and try to get through as many things as you can, just to be with your community. That's all.
We have a lot, but you're not gonna say anything like that.
Motion adjourned.
Red card, nice. All right, with that, I need a motion to move into executive session.
Motion to move into executive session.
Second. All those in favor?
I
Thank you very much for coming tonight.